right,
speaking at the mic.
When we move the mic over that way.
Oh, I think they have it there for a certain reason. Like, it can't get closer to the speakers.
Oh, okay. So let's leave them here for now. And we'll adjust when the speaker comes out?
Yeah. Are we ready to get started?
I think so. Who's going to see?
I don't know.
Is this good? Okay, is this good? Can people hear me? Closer? All right, closer? Is this better? Okay. All right, Rena, you good?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay, hello everybody on Facebook Live. To start off with, we are grateful and very, very humbled to be with all of you today. This is a very loving community, and I'm getting signals to do something with the mic.
We need to be louder.
We need to be louder? Okay, are we louder now? Okay. So for those of you who I haven't met, or maybe I've met you online but not in person, I'm Sharon, one of Rena's cousins, along with her cousins Ellen and Sue, who are over there, and some of our children, Nolan, Allie, Corey, and Rachel. Handing out papers over there. My husband Rick, who many of you have met, and my daughter-in-law Amanda, who's helping us with the Facebook Live right here. So please really do come to talk to us. We'd really like to meet you all. In addition, we have some family members who weren't able to be here today, even though they would have liked to, but they're joining us online, including cousin Carolyn and her family, Greg, Alex, and Veronica, Ellen's daughter Jillian and her husband Miguel, and my son Ethan. But most importantly, we have our most senior family members, Rena's Aunt Rosie and Uncle John. So often, when we speak in a memorial, we build around a theme that describes a person's life, often boiling it down to a key word. But we all know Rena. Nothing she ever said or did could be done in one word. So instead, we have a bunch of perspectives that we'll hear today. So I'll start by giving you a very quick context of where she came from. Her mother, Gert, was quiet and very considerate and a real thinker. She deeply analyzed situations and put great care into every action and decision, spending hours looking for the perfect greeting card or picking out the perfect string beans individually in the supermarket. Her father, Gus, was quite loud, laughed a lot, and shared his opinions quite freely. Gus also liked to garden and cook, so you can imagine what happened when Gus and Rena were cooking in the kitchen together. But on a broader level, combine a very caring and deep thinker with a propensity for sharing those thoughts and actions, and coming of age in the 60s, and you start to understand Rena. So perhaps one word we can use to describe her is passion. And we can say that she had passion for all that is La Vida. And we know this because when she came east, that's what she talked about. A lot. The town, all of you, your children, your pets, the art school, the art gallery, the massage, the yoga, the gym, the arnica gel, the festivals, the mountains, and of course, the weather. We have to admit that sometimes we wondered about whether everything was quite as she described. But that fateful day last September brought such an outpouring of support that there's no question that she was a loved and valued member of this community, both for what she gave and for who she was. You rallied around her while she was in the hospital and, in the throes of grief, helped manage the necessary tasks, turning even the mundane into the spiritual, as you helped clean and make sure that her belongings were put to good use in the community, that each of you could preserve her memory in a meaningful way, and that Teddy was taken care of. We navigated together the challenging task of sifting through a life cut too short, and for that we will be forever grateful. It's clear why Rena chose to make this her home, and once we do finish with the legal and other processes, do plan to give back in her name. I think we all feel that in some way, Rena is still with us. One of the words that she used to describe herself is as a healer, both on an individual level, but also for the world as a whole. And we all know what a caring person she was. So in honor of Rena, please take care of yourselves and of each other. And one very spiritual prayer that, in fact, Kelly sang at Rena's bedside, and I think is very meaningful because it's meant for healing, would be something that Rena would very much appreciate if we all sang, because she is a healer, and that, you know, I'm sure there are plenty of people out there who could use that blessing. So Kelly, if you'd like to come up.
Hi. This is on your sheet called Mishebarak, and Rena actually sang this as well at her family gatherings, and Rena had a beautiful voice. So I'll sing it once. I'm using a little backup here because I'm not a professional singer or anything, just to make sure I stay in tune. I'll sing it through once completely, and then you can hear some of the Hebrew and their translations there, and then we'll sing it all together. That's how it's done traditionally, as far as I've seen. And I just wanted to say out to Rena that there's one line in here to give us the courage, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing. I think Rena really did that more than pretty much anybody I know. So, thinking of Rena. And is that okay? All good? Okay. I might have to do this a cappella. Let's see. Is this going to work? Sheberak avotenu mekor habracha limotenu. May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing and let us say Amen. Misheberak imotenu makor habracha lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema. The renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen. Okay, that's it. So please join me. No, please join me to sing it. You ready? Get this going one more time. Misheberak avotenu makor halimotenu. May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Imotenu makor habracha lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema. The renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen.
Sailing around?
Hi, thank you all so much for celebrating Rena, our oldest cousin. We spent much time with her and her wonderful parents, Gert and Gus, and brother Philly growing up. After she moved to Colorado, when she was in her 30s, we were always impressed that she could do so many things and be so active. Between massages, making arnica gel, giving yoga lessons, cooking, teaching, acting, painting, and even belly dancing, she still had time to keep up with her family with her frequent phone calls. We look forward to seeing Rena every year at our family Seder. For about 10 days, she would stay at Aunt Estelle and Uncle John's house, and then the cousins' houses. Our visits included going to Broadway shows, hiking Atlantic City, Sculpture Garden, and we would spend the whole day talking about where we would go for dinner. Rena always spoke of her friends here in Levita, and it wasn't until we met them when we understood the appeal of moving from exciting New York City to a small town in Colorado. They were friendly, warm, and loving. They were so good to me when I came here in October. They were your other family. I have never seen friends like she has. As part of our Levita trip, we went on with Rena to Taos and Santa Fe. As my family knows, I love to take pictures. When I was taking pictures of the family at an Indian reservation in Taos, I backed up into a ditch and had a bad fall. My foot was killing me. Rena told me with such authority, keep walking on it. And always thinking Rena knows everything, I walked on it all day despite the pain. Needless to say, I needed a cast for 4 months because of Rena's great advice. I was lucky to spend 10 days with Rena before she passed away. Even though her senses weren't so sharp at the end, when I was talking to her, when her good-looking, charming neurologist came into the hospital room, she perked up and was totally responsive. Rena, we miss you terribly, our quirky, in a good way, cousin. It's not just a coincidence that your celebration of life ceremony is on Juneteenth. As you know, Juneteenth commemorates liberation and freedom. Rena, you definitely lived your life your way and is free to make a living from doing all the things you love to do. That is so special. You are always a part of us every day. We love you, Rena, and miss you terribly.
Hi, I'm her cousin, Loud Susie, my dad and her, oh God, her mother were brother and sister. So to be honest, at first I thought it might be silly to come here all the way from New Jersey because she's gone already and she's not going to really realize, that we were there. And then my family said, it's the right thing to do. And, Sharon and Rick, work so hard on everything. And I'm so glad that I came here because I really got to feel closer to Rena and to see why she loved it so much, because I met so many of you. And in talking to, I ask all of you, what is it about La Vida that you love so much? Because for me, coming from New Jersey and there being all these diners and shops and everything, I'm how do you manage here? So I asked this one nice woman and she told me, you always go to Playboy. There's TJ Maxx over there. There's one up in Boston. And she was actually from Cherry Hill originally and she loves it here. And, she says, yeah, there's enough restaurants, you can still go out. And she has music, every week on Thursday at the, where is it called? The Gallery, I think, right? So we're going to go to the Gallery on Thursday, listen to the music. And, of course, there's always Amazon, so you can buy online. You don't need to have, and it would be good for me because I'm a hoarder and I shop too much. So I would think I would love it here. And there's only 800 people who live here. And I think half of them are almost here. 800 live, full time, and then maybe another couple of thousand in the summer. But there's artists that come here and professors, and it's really smart people that live here. And I really think that, I would like, the library is a 5-star library. But getting back to the red, I just have a few more things. And I love the fact that everyone here looks so relaxed and calm. So I'm going to tell you a little story. I hope there's no policemen here. Any cops here? Anyone that could arrest me or whatever? But anyway, so, I hear so much about the dispensaries. And my son, Nolan, he may not be sharp at that many things. He's a good gambler. He's good at Atlantic City. And he knows his pot, I guess we could say it like that. So we said we have to go to the dispensaries. So we went to 3 dispensaries before we even got here, So anyway, we got these, I thought it sounded like a great idea, the chocolate, thing, the chocolate, whatever, the chocolate, the Hershey bar, So I said, let me try. So he bought that for me. He was very sporty. He bought it. So anyway, last night I said I have to relax because it took me so long to plan this trip here with all the airfare, the hotels, and packing everything in a tiny little suitcase. I didn't want to pay for the carry-on, So anyway, so Nolan bought me a variety of stuff. So after we went to the supermarket and we ate dinner, I had I'll just tell you, I had 2 of the chocolate ones, and then some other cousin passed around some gummies. So I know it was a total of 25 grams of, and I don't know the grams, so it didn't sound I figured I'm a big person, so I could take it, So anyway, after dinner, I felt so sick. I thought my head was spinning, and then all I can hear is I was going to throw up. They kept bringing the bowls so I could throw up into the bowl, right? And then, this is the funny line, Sharon said, I have a 5-star rating from all the, Airbnbs. You're going to mess up my rating if you throw up onto the couch, So she kept bringing, bowl after bowl, and then my kids got sick, Nolan was embarrassed, whatever, but Corey was good. He kept hanging out the bowls. Thank you, Corey. Thank you. And it took a few hours, and Ellen actually said, she said she's not nurturing, which we know, but she said maybe we should take you to the hospital because I was so nervous, But I sat it out. I eventually went to throw everything up, all the Mexican food, I eventually was good, so I'm here today. So I want to thank you. And also they say you can go to Denver and Colorado Springs for excitement too. So this is the place to go. So I might have to look for some real estate. I'm ready to retire soon. So I might become some of you. Oh, and I want to thank everyone. You brought the most amazing food. I think it's because you don't have that many restaurants here. You learn how to cook well. And you guys cook well. So I know the food, and we like to eat in our family. So now I really know why she loved it here. So thank you. Thank you all for coming. I honestly did this impromptu, so I just want to say one more thing in case Rena's listening, that I just want to say thank you for always asking about my health, because I had a little diabetes, and she used to always call me and tell me the herbs to take, and how to lose weight. Obviously that didn't work, but she did try to tell me things. And what I loved about Rena, because I'm a little bit like this too, I'm not a materialistic person. And she really taught me to just enjoy life, enjoy the nature and everything. And she's just so down to earth. And she also gave up the rat race being here. But the first time we went to visit her, and I feel bad we didn't do it more often. That's one thing that I regret. But anyway, when we visit her, we're driving in the car, right? She goes, I got to go to the bathroom. I'm like, of course, there's no bathrooms here. There's no restaurants. There's no shopping center, whatever. We were in all the freaking mountains, right? So she just gets out of the car and says, I'm going to go to the bathroom here. And I'll never forget, she just crouched like that. We see her butt sticking out in the middle of the road. It's Allison will never forget that. It was welcome to Colorado and welcome to the freedom, I'm
open mic if anybody, if you guys want to go in.
Yeah. All right, we'll come up here and wrap up the family affairs so we can hear from the rest of the Vita family. But like we've all said, it's so amazing, this community that's here, and we've had the pleasure to meet a lot of you throughout this time. And this really is a celebration of Rena's life, which I think is absolutely amazing. I've never laughed so much. With quite a story there. But like I said, I got to meet a lot of you here today, and I know not all of her friends could stay for this session. And one of her friends that we met was Robin. And Robin does a lot of poetry with Rena, and she gave us 2 poems that she thought reminded her of Rena. And the first one that we'll read kind of as a one by one here is about, where she is now. So we're going to have Amanda and Nolan read that one first.
Life after death. These are the things I know. How the living go on living, and how the dead go on living with them, so that in a forest, even a dead tree casts a shadow, and the leaves fall one by one, and the branches break in the wind, and the bark peels off slowly, and the trunk cracks, and the rain seeps in through the cracks.
And the trunk falls to the ground, and the moss covers it. And in the spring, the rabbits find it, and build their nest inside the dead tree, so that nothing is wasted in nature or in love.
yeah, we can thank Robin for these because she said these are what reminded her of Rena. The next poem that Corey and Allie will read is How We Can Best Remember Her Now.
This is called Between the Words. You have gone into the pauses of our conversation, the time beyond time and time within time. You are in those moments when we sit in the audience waiting for the curtain to rise, and the end when the curtain has closed and the actors have taken their bows. You are within the pauses of the bird's song, when we strain to hear the next note.
In the water between the fish, in the traveler's silence within a foreign language, you are in the air that fills the sky in the moments after the sunset. You are between night and day, spirit next to soul. Years next to laughter, you are in the space between the words. The connecting air around periods and commas, the moment before the artist picks up her brush.
And like we kind of said, it's kind of open mic now, so we'd love to hear all the other stories you have about Rena. Couple logistic notes, if anybody needs the video after, come find me and I'll take your email down, or if you know of anyone who couldn't come or access it on Facebook, we can send them an email to the video after the fact. And then we also have some art back there if everybody wants to add their stroke or their thoughtfulness to the artwork back there. Is there any other logistics? Is that everything? I think we're good, right? Thanks.
Thank you.
I'm already verklempt, so if I wait much longer, I won't be able to speak. Rena and I are both big city girls that decided to live here, believe it or not. I was born and raised in Los Angeles, and I mean in Los Angeles, in Hollywood. And the first time I came out here, I fell in love and said, this is where I'm going to retire. I didn't know this is actually where I was going to move and raise my children. I'm so grateful I did, because Rena is one of the people I got to meet and experience the Valley with. And she was very special. I have her father's, they're shaped like little teapots. They're ceramic, and they're to put your tea bag on in between making your cups. I broke mine and glued it back together because it meant so much to me. Anyway, yeah, everything. Arnica gels and salve and body work and healing, and I will miss her tremendously.
So I'm Lori, and Rena was our Sunday football friend. She came over all the time, and we watched football together. But one of the funny stories I have to tell you is that my job here ended, so I went over to Santa Fe and I got a job, and I was working over there. And Rena was a good friend of ours, and we said, "Would you just check in on the house and water the trees?" And she's always telling me, "You better water your trees, they're gonna die, and why don't you move them closer to the house so I don't have to walk down there." So she watered the trees and everything. And then I don't know what date it was, 2019, when we had that huge hailstorm that decimated everybody. Anyways, I got diagnosed with cancer. I was at Mayo Clinic, and this big hailstorm, our trailer was destroyed, our car was destroyed, windows were out in our house, and we called Rena. I said, "Rena, help us." I said, I can't leave Mayo, so could you come up and help us? And she did. She marched over there, and I can tell, she just detailed everything. And then the insurance adjuster came out, and I said, "Rena, we can't fly home. Can you meet him?" And she goes, "Sure, I can meet him." And she goes, "They're going to give you a new roof. They're going to give you a new car. They're going to give you a new trailer. They're going to give..."
And lo and behold, we got all three, everything. So, you know, I never will forget Rena. She just, you know, really gave this guy the riot act. You missed something over here, you know, she'd point out things. But I'm wearing Rena's rings tonight in honor of her. I just miss her so much. Thank you.
I met Rena for the first time at yoga class many, many years ago. And this woman talked all the way through the yoga lesson. And as we were laying there doing meditation, she was still talking. And I was envisioning all the different ways that I could make her be quiet in a polite way. I came home, I threw my towel on the floor, and I said to Ernest, my God, I met this woman in yoga class. She never stopped talking the whole time. I'm not going back. And just then, knock on the door. And it was Rena. And Rena says, hi Jude, I noticed all through the class that you were sort of coughing a bit, and I've brought you this salve to rub on your chest. I felt that high. And from then on, we became friends. And we used to get into a lot of arguments, and she'd say, well, you're like my big sister, right? You can tell me off. Anyway, the funny story with Ernest was when Rena burned down her rental house. Do you remember all that when that happened? The rental house burned to the ground and she lost everything. And we asked her, what can we get you? What can we do? And she said, well, I need new underwear. Ernest went to Dillard's, got her bra size, and bought her the most outrageous underwear. And that was Rena. I got to see her at the very end and meet Rick and Sharon, and it was such an unfair ending, but she really touched all our lives. I can remember going to shul with her, taking her down with the understanding that she was going to drive and she couldn't talk as much when we were driving down. We went for Chinese food and I took her to shul for the first time. She'd never been to the synagogue in Trinidad, and it was such a fun time, and we just had so many adventures together, and we'll miss her. We don't have any characters like that is at her level, right? Quite. And so she'll be very missed. Thank you.
So I'm Jonathan, and first of all, Susie, my goodness.
You should have, I love your avocado, so
I mean, I literally thought Rena was the top of the mountain. and I know that, well, Chip Barb and I once met a woman that we thought was Rena's equal. We're still not sure that that was true, but I think I'd have to say I at least have now met her equal. Chip, I don't know if you're going to talk tonight, but I'm going to reference a special way that you shared with Rena. I don't want to take any story, but Rena was the most improbable football fan I could imagine. And yet, she absolutely was devoted to the Pittsburgh Steelers through Chip. And I mean, it was true devotion. I wrote her this I wrote it for her birthday, and that was in the week just prior to her stroke. And I'm so grateful that I gave it to her because she liked it. And it references the Steelers, Pittsburgh Steelers, through the reference of the terrible towels. And there's also a reference to the gallery there, which is, I use the word space because that's the name of the gallery. And there's one more reference. There'll be a reference to selling tickets, and if those of you who don't know what that refers to, Emily, who's standing behind there, runs the Mercantile, and one of, I think, Rena's great prides was selling tickets at the Mercantile, and also for the Celtic Festival, which has been here annually over the years. Every year, she reminded me that no one could sell tickets like she could. So those are the three references, and this will in no way match the sharing that we've had tonight, but I wanted to share it because she liked it. Ode to Rena. You can say that this lass is expansive, versatile, charming, and handsive. She knows lots of vowels, waves terrible towels, and is never, not ever, impassive. Selling tickets, she's clearly the best. In her salve, I'll always invest. I still have some. Her heart's big and kind, train of thought hard to find, needing patience and space to digest.
Well, I'm the person that Jonathan referenced. I'm Chip, and I guess I should take my shirt off to exacerbate that point. Rena was a character, a perfect fit for Levita for that reason. It seems strange to a lot of people. Here we are in the middle of nowhere, 800 people, but there's all these eccentric characters of this town, and we love it. Well, Rena, when she discovered I was a Steeler fan, she wanted to know about coming to our place and watching the game. I said, sure. But soon afterwards, I said, ooh, wow. I kind of like to listen to the game, and I knew there could be some verbal distraction here. Because Rena had capacity. Infinite capacity, actually, in terms of verbiage. Anyway, Sunday comes about, and Rena shows up. And as I thought, Rena was not real successful at managing the amount of verbiage. And so I said, Rena, I don't know if this is going to work. And she said, well, there are ways we could go about this. I said, what's that? She said, I can promise to be quiet. I said, well, that's not enough, Rena. Maybe we need some material assistance here. How about bringing some duct tape? Well, Rena agrees. She brings the duct tape. So, we're watching the game, and Rena has the duct tape on, so she's incapable of speaking. But as she anticipates commercials, as soon as she gets an indication of commercials coming, off comes the tape. And within the 2 or 3 minutes it takes to run the commercial, she seamlessly articulates in-depth analysis of about 5 different things in a period of about 2 minutes. I said, wow, Rena, that was impressive. So the commercial goes away and Rena puts the tape back on. And it was successful. It was a fairly successful approach to this. But yeah, Rena, just want to go back to the thing about Rena being a character and being a perfect fit for this town. There was a time in my life where my work put me in a lot of small towns throughout the prairie, and towns the size of Levita. I could not imagine Rena living in these places. But in Levita, she was a perfect fit, and she thrived on Levita, and Levita thrived on her. She was a Levita institution, actually. She was a perfect fit. So that's about all I have to say. Thank you. I'm being requested to come back up.
I'm Bob. I had the good fortune to meet Rena about over 30 years ago. But I'm going to have Chip help me with a story that he's the instigator of. And about 10 years ago, maybe a little longer, Rena was having a party at her house and a bunch of her family came. And Chip made up a story that I was a Jewish New York jewelry dealer.
Can you tell who you got?
And I think you were trying to get thick. I know, what? How could that have happened? So I said, sure, Chip, I can do that. And but anyway, he was. I think he was trying to fix me up with one of Rena's cousins or something like that. It could have been you. Yeah. Sing me after the show. Okay? And the whole family believed it, you know. So it was quite. Anyway, I wanted to give Chip credit for that. Can you remember any more of that?
No, I just remembered what prompted me to see the association between you and a jeweler dealer in New York City. But it was basically the affect.
Yeah. All right. Well, I have more. You can sit down.
Okay, thank you.
So the way I met Rena was one of my first jobs was over at Malachite Small Farm and School near Gardner. And Rena was one of the cooks at the school. And I was there as an outdoor guide to teach people about wild, edible, medicinal, useful plants. And of course, Rena knew a lot about that too. And so we had some great conversations. But then I got to know her at another job. I was teaching similar classes for Trinidad State Junior College, and she was the class coordinator for Huerfano County. And Rena had the option to go on any class she wanted to because she was the class coordinator. So she took all of my classes. And the good part was she did know a lot about plants. The hard part is I really didn't get to teach anything. Because Rena would be right there, oh, Bob, look at this. And she'd go on and it actually got to be a drag because it's like, you know, why am I here? So I thought if I could hike faster, because she wasn't in all that good a shape, and I was in better shape, I thought if I hiked faster, she wouldn't be able to talk and walk at the same time. But she could. But anyway, it actually got to a point that I would never say I was angry with Rena, but I hid from her a lot. Because you'd get stuck. You'd go to a concert and you want to at the Merc and you want to get a seat, and she'd start talking. It's like, I got to get a seat, you know. But at any rate, as Chip said, she was an institution. We loved her. At times when I was finding like, well, Chip and Barbara, when they moved here, they were getting to know Rena, and they said, oh, we're having a dinner party. I said, well, who's coming? And they said, Rena's going to come. And I thought, God, it's like, but you know what? That was actually a changing point because I'd had so much built up with all this, so when I felt like she was ruining my classes, but we ultimately overcame it. I love Rena forever and will, and thank you for the family for coming, and I think you could give Rena a run for that.
One thing I forgot to say, I got to say one more thing. As you hear these stories, you might think that we're making fun of Rena. We are making fun with Rena. Because I could hear Lorena hearing this and laughing. Right. Rena knew what she was. and she knew about herself, and she knew she had the capacity to endlessly articulate on various things. And she had a great sense of humor about herself.
Yeah.
I just have a couple of things to say. First, Bob, you were a Jewish accountant. That's what they said that you were. And also, Chip didn't tell you that he made Rena take a written test before she watched the Steelers. And there's a picture on the roll of her with the tape on with Jonathan because they couldn't show it. So, but I just wanted to say she was a very generous person. She'll be missed. And she always had a piece of clothing or a piece of jewelry or some food or something to give everybody. So that's all.
So I'm, like, for some reason, really emotional about this. I just always felt that, you know, Rena took tickets, right? When you buy a business, you inherit all the people that come there. And I've inherited a pretty cool crew. And I always thought maybe I'd have some closure with Rena's death if I could serve her last shift drink. So this is hers right here, and guys, that's what we did. Sometimes she would have beer, sometimes she'd have wine, sometimes she couldn't have this or couldn't have that, but this is iced tea because no alcohol in the park. Maybe didn't like rules, but this is for her. I'm gonna sit this down here for her tonight. Rena, we miss you and we love you, and please watch out for us from the other side.
My name's Roger. I'm new to town, and Rena is one reason why I'm here. I had one meeting with her, and I was told beforehand, you know how everybody has a file that seems to get pulled? It's not just small towns, it's like, oh, you should know this about this person. So I was told, she doesn't talk much. Normally, I'm well informed. And I was told, you know, great person, but she won't look you in the eye much. So I'm a body worker, she's a body worker. Body workers have their quirks. We tend not to talk much. We tend to look off into space. So I was ready. So she came in, she looked up at me, and for 45 minutes she gave me this download. Eye to eye. Unwavering on how to practice in the most caring, compassionate, professional way in this town. It was quite a download, and then the energy just moved after that. Because of her, I applied for a license in my field here in Colorado. It came through in like 3 hours. I mean, everything she said, it didn't work on your ankle, I'm sorry. But her advice, it was the best professional advice I've ever had since 1985. And it was within an hour.
I want to give some praise to Rena too, because I wanted to tell her some of these things when she was in the hospital, because I knew she was hearing us, and she confirmed that when she talked to Rick when she, you know, when he came in. And I didn't want to say anything like real final, you know, because I thought maybe I didn't want to give her that impression that's what I thought. We didn't know how it was going to go, but now I can say them, and maybe she's listening. I think Chip may have called her in because hearing Chip talk about her, I could just almost hear her defending herself. You know, she would always say, she would have stood up and had something to say, and I'm like, you know, somebody here is going to channel Rena, and it's going to happen. But, yep, so anyways, I will say what I wanted to say to Rena. Rena, you were my best friend here. And you knew how to be a friend to me and to everyone, and you did so wonderfully. And I'm talking about, you'll probably all know it, right? She was the first person that I met here, and Jude's story, you know, bringing over that she never stopped. never stopped being her friend. And I'm proud to say that you were my best friend, or probably one of my very best friends here, and because of the person that I knew you to be. So knowing her for a long time, I know all the things that we've all talked about, but beyond that, I was really amazed at her insight and her intelligence that would come mixed in with all these different topics, but these, gems. And her strength. So I wanted to say, Rena, I think you were one of the strongest, most intelligent and beautiful people that I know. And some people knew it, and I think your family knew it, and I think you knew it. I think you knew, and you were gracious, and weren't you were gracious with that, and I hope that you knew how I thought of you. I think maybe you did, because you perceived everything pretty well, and I'm glad that you turned to me at the end. And despite, I feel kind of bad about neglecting our friendship. I became very busy, and I wanted to say this while she was in the hospital. I wanted to say that I'm sorry, and I know you wouldn't want me to get too pathetic about this, because she did have a great sense of humor. So if I could turn the clock back, though, now, and not cut you off, not say I was too busy, almost ever. I'm sorry if I hurt you, but I think you're pretty strong. But mostly I'm sorry for myself, because it's not because I feel guilty, but I realize with hindsight and perspective even more clearly what I did know all along is that you were one of the most worthwhile people, worth knowing and worth listening to, and one of the best people, and someone that I really love. She's really something special, and I will never know another like you, Rena. And thanks to you, I know even more now that I want to. I want to spend my life surrounded by people that are these sincere, shining stars like you. Maybe just a few, or many if I'm lucky. So, anyways, if you are hearing this, thank you, Rena, for your friendship while you were here. And I can say that I'm working on our common concerns and problems, and I'm pretty sure you don't have to worry about them anymore. And thank you for all the clothes, and I miss you.
Hi, I'm Bo. I have just a quick story. I was at a hippie party, and I was tripping really hard on mushrooms, and Rena said, "Come to my car. I can feed you, and you'll feel better." And she put some salve on my temples, and I ate some beans and something she had made with squash, and I felt better.
So years ago, the first time I met Rena, either in the gallery or at the bakery, we introduced ourselves to each other, and she says, "My name is Rena." And I said, "Well, my mom's name was Rena May." She says, "Well, my middle name is Beth, but I don't go by that. But you can call me Rena Beth." So that's what I called her for the next 20 years or whatever it was. Rena Beth, always. And I never heard anybody else call her Rena Beth. So I always wondered about that. Anyway, we loved her.
I'm Leah, and these pants were from Rena, and I love them because they remind me of Rena. They're bright, and they're busy, and they're somewhat loud, and they're very unique. And I think that's just the thing about Rena that I will always remember, that there was nobody like her, and she seemed to just shine as herself, and I think that's a model for all of us. And so in Rena's honor, I want to shine too a little bit like she did all the time. So thank you, Rena.
My name is Daniel, and many of you met her early on your times here in La Vida because she was definitely the institution. I would walk right at her, and I just listen because I knew it was easy to get her to stop. I'd just give her a big hug and say, I gotta go. It was simple. You know, she, was at the farmer's market when we had this community sustainability program that was there, and when the farmer's market first started, and one thing we knew she could definitely do was sustain a conversation. But she also, if you guys know Katrina, she didn't feel that she could really hold it together up here. Obviously, I'm barely doing it. So she would come, she was one of the few that would come to these meditations that we would hold. And she was quiet the whole hour. The whole hour. I mean, her soul wasn't quiet. And they were intimate, small, sometimes Kelly, sometimes a few other people. But Rena would always come. And it'd be 20 minutes after the meditation, of course, before she would go, because we'd all chat. But still, Rena, I never saw her be unkind once. Not one time. If we could just do that for Rena. So she also loved to drum, and she loved to dance, and she loved to prance. She loved to sing. And so at the night where Rick was at the circle for the fire, and a lot of us that were really close to her, the ones that could make it, I know you would have all been here if you were here, or could have been, but there were stories that went around that night too. But we started drumming, and it just kind of came to me, this little song about Rena. So I'm just going to do a little second of it until I probably can't, and then that'll be that. So. Mountains looking down on you. Oh, Rena, I'm so glad I had seen ya. Looking down with grace right on Rena and her lovely face. Thank you.
So I don't think I've ever met anyone so unapologetically themselves, and every story here tonight is just that. And I am the mother of 2 daughters, and if I can teach them one thing, is to be just that. And to love, to give love to anyone with nothing in return, with nothing expected back. If I can teach them just that. We are so blessed to have known her, and for the things that we would tease about her and just who she is. And she knew it. If I could be like that, so very free of yourself, what a wonderful gift to teach our children, our daughters. So proud. The first time I met Rena, my husband and I had just bought a house here in Levita, and we came to the art walk, and I bought these earrings, and she was right there. And she told me how to take care of them, and that I should put backs on them so I didn't lose them. And she told me where she lived, and it wasn't that far from our new house. And little did I know what part of my life she would become. Taking tickets in the Merc, and whatever advice as you walked in the door. I think it was a Halloween party, and her makeup that night, she told me, was a green mask of something that she was so proud that she could go home and wash it off and just feel wonderful after. She gave so much of herself just by being herself, and she inspires me now. And it was the first concert at Up Top after the fire, and we felt relieved that it was still there, that so much was still there. And as the Rifters played Step by Step, and we danced, and that will always be my last best memory of her, the lightness that we felt, that she always was. Thank you, Rena. We miss you. We miss you. We miss you.
Yeah, I was probably, I guess I was the last one with Rena when she passed. When she became ill, our family started a vigil. Sharon came out, then Ellen came out. Sharon saw her through the ICU, Ellen saw her through the hospital, and I was there when she was in rehab and supposed to be better. And we had one day together in rehab, and I think that's where Rena made a decision, was this was not for me. I'm going to a better place. And you know, after one day in rehab, she passed. I had 2 weeks left on my trip. I could have changed my ticket and come home, but I said I need to go down to Levita and take care of things down here. I came down here not knowing a soul other than a couple of people that were voices on the other end of a group call. I left here 2 weeks later. I felt like I was part of a community. I felt like I had known some of you for all my life. And I just want to say, from our entire family, thank you to everybody here who treated me as you would have treated Rena, except a little bit quieter. And it really meant a lot to me, and I tend to be an emotional person. I'm showing it now. But it meant a lot to our family also. Everybody knows what you did for me when I was here, and you did for all of us. And we really want to express our appreciation for that, and thank you.
Hi. You know, I had this really special opportunity with Rena because every year on her birthday, she'd say, Janine, I want a birthday reading. And I'm a clairvoyant, so I give readings. So she'd always ask for her reading, and she would be so incredibly still, taking it all in very deeply. And it was such a joy. I love the wild Rena and the crazy Rena and the fun Rena, but I also got to be with the really still, quiet, deep Rena, and I love that. So we love you, sweetheart, and we miss you. Thank you.
Hey, my name's Jason, and my mom lives in town. And so I live in Oakland, California, and I come to La Vida once a year. I'll come in the summertime, maybe for a couple of weeks. And I just thought Rena was the coolest. Mom said, "Oh, you got to meet Rena. She likes to go to Hooper Hot Springs." Oh, I like to go to Hooper Hot Springs. So I would, first thing I'd do when I came to town, I'd go to the gallery, go to Space Gallery, and try to connect with Rena, and we would make a plan. You know, we'd either go to Hooper Hot Springs, make a day of it. We'd go for a hike. We'd talk about, you know, what's going on in West Peak, what's going on around here, and it's interesting to hear everyone talk about Rena because I didn't know all these perspectives on her, and I didn't know that she talked a lot. I just knew that we'd have a lot of conversations, you know, we'd hang out, and all the way to Hooper we'd have a conversation, and you know, I don't like small talk much, and I didn't think she liked small talk much either. We would just talk about some cool stuff, and I just liked hanging out with her. I thought she was really cool, and I like unique people and people who are themselves, and you know, so I thought she was just a really cool human, and it's great to hear this perspective, and I'm sorry for the community that you're losing such a cool person, but it's really great to see what a good human can plant in a community, and I'm glad that she'll be here with you guys for a very long time. So.
Rena used to be with us every Sunday for football after she wanted to talk. She said, "Chip won't let me talk." So I'm going to come and be with you guys on football. So what was funny is we'd sit down on the couch and we'd start a game, and of course we made nicknames for everybody on the football teams, and we'd yell and scream, and we used to say "Shreem Braji," which means in Indian language that you're going to be successful, you're going to get what you want. So we would all three sit there and go "Shreem Braji, Shreem Braji," and then laugh because it either happened or it didn't. We had one special story that we had at Thanksgiving, and Lori, myself, her twin sister and son, and then Rena. So Rena was up at the stove, and she was busily trying to get the gravy to be right. You know, it's got to be right, it's got to be right. And she's standing up there at the stove. And Lori went up to pull the sweet potatoes out that had the marshmallows on top. Okay, so Rena, you know, she took up some space. So she was, and we have a small stove. So then here's Lori trying to get the sweet potatoes out of the oven. And what happened is they bumped each other or something, and the sweet potatoes fell all over the floor, and then Rena's going, "I'm on fire, I'm on fire!" And Lori, I mean, it was not that big a deal, but she was on fire. And at the end of that, and we all sat down at the table and we go, "That girl's on fire!" And that lasted for such a long time. She was always on fire. The other thing that she used to do, which just cracked me up, we would always serve her these nice meals for Sunday. So she would always call and say, "What do you want me to bring?" And then she'd say, "I'm not going to eat very much. So, you know, just know I'm not going to eat very much." And we'd always cook these meals that you couldn't just eat a little. So she would have her first course, then she'd say, "Maybe you'll have a little more of that." And it was just funny because she, you know, she always was so concerned with her weight. And she used to tell us, she'd say, "You know, when I was such an age, I was really thin, and I biked all over, and I did this, and I did that." And I'm going, "Yeah, right, Rena, here I'm watching her eat these plates, right?" And then we saw her pictures. Rena was a beautiful young woman. I mean, she really, really was. And you could tell that she did all those things. And she always would talk about the 80s and losing all her friends and when they were gay and they got HIV, et cetera, but just such a compassionate heart. And she was so good to us as, you know, two gay women, and just loved to be with us. And we loved to be with her, and we'd all laugh and giggle, and it was just something that was very unique. It was unique. And we always looked forward to our Sundays because of it. And then there are times, of course, that we were with Chip. But the other thing that she would do is, as she's sitting on the couch, of course, she'd eaten all this food, right? You know what happens when you eat a lot of turkey or a lot of food. She's there on the couch going, sleeping away. And it was just, she was just sweet. If Lori was really tired, she didn't mind Lori going to bed. She and I would sit there and talk. But we love Rena, and obviously all of us really loved Rena, and nobody can really replace Rena. And I do believe that she's still around. She's hanging with us, you know, and advising us, so to speak. That's her next job. But I just appreciate the fact that all these people came. They made beautiful food, and we got to see who Rena was to all of you. Thank you.
So my first night here in 08, right after I purchased my house, Rena shows up with Peggy and a handmade pizza. And we sat on my little broken down bench on the broken down deck, which has now been repaired and replaced, but so generous and so loving. I too got to experience that very quiet side of Rena. I had a gallery for a spell here, and she encouraged me to do a little meditation, a one-time, maybe it was a new moon or a full moon or something. A few of us got together, and like Daniel, there was an hour of silence, and it was deep and profound and beautiful. And I'm recently back in town, and I'm really sad I don't get to see her again, but I know she's here. I know that. And Rena, if you decide to reincarnate, and we do go to Hooper Pool again, you're not driving.
It was a white knuckler. Rena, quit talking. I was just so grateful that we made it. But then once we got there, it was like we were each reading our books, and it was quiet and lovely, and just a really sweet time. Love you, Miss Rena. We all do.
I guess I'm gonna sing a short song, and then and more people can talk if you want. It's really important to say things because this is our moment. Heaven from hell, blue skies are real. Can you tell a green field by the cold steel rain? get to the train. Your heroes for gold, hot ash to the trees, hot air for a cool breeze, cold comfortable chain. Did you exchange walk out part in the war, lead role in the cave? You're just two lost souls living in a fishbowl, year after year, running into the same old ground. How you found same old fears. I wish you were here. I miss you.
Anybody else? It's just starting to get dark.
I don't want to stop anybody who wants to talk more. I just wanted to say though, if you haven't seen the slideshow, there's a slideshow of Rena from like baby to the most recent pictures. It's in the back corner. It's about 10 minutes long. You can watch it.